So for me, I've always felt like evangelism has been a weakness of us as a church, and it's something that bugged me, and I tried to put it in the back of my mind, and I tried to work on it and all sorts of things, but it still came to the point where we sat down and said, this is one of the weaknesses for us as a church. So we just looked around for what's available, who's doing stuff, and especially what's relevant in this time. There was plenty of historical examples of how you could do evangelism, but we felt not a lot of it was relevant. So when we met with Dave and talked with him, the things that he was doing and the approach that he was having just seemed so relevant in a Kiwi context in 2016 for us, and so it was just valuable stuff for us. It was a big realisation for us that when we sat down and asked people, 2/3 of people, if we said to them, here's Frank, he wants to become a Christian, 2/3 of our people said we're not confident to lead him to the Lord. So for me that was a big wake-up call, because we're encouraging people to share the gospel, tell others about their faith, but the simple fact is that they don't know how to do that. So for us, we've had to go right back to square one. And so for me this year, my goal is that every single person in our church from 8 years up would know how to lead someone to Christ. So I told my elders that, and they said that's a big goal, but I think it's an achievable goal. We realised that the church had taken back a lot of things that we shouldn't take back, that the church had taken responsibility for evangelism. If someone wants to come to the Lord, then you bring them along to Sunday and the pastor tells them how to do that. And when you look at the scriptures, the church has a role in that, but equally so do individuals sitting in the church. And so we wanted to pass that back to them and say, this is something that we have to do as a church together, and this is something that you have to do as an individual. So we've done that through a variety of ways. So the biggest thing is getting our leadership on board, getting our key leaders on board to say evangelism is a weakness and we want to change that. As part of that, we want everyone in church to know how to do a simple diagram that they could sit down with someone and say, you know, this is where you're at, this is where you could be at, and where do you think you're at in terms of your faith and following God. So we're going to do that with everyone on a Sunday morning, because Sunday morning is just the time where the entire community comes together, and so that's the best time to teach. But we also want to follow that up too. For us, something's changed as we've been through this process, and suddenly God's sending us people like He's never done before. I got saved in this church in 1992. I've never seen so many non-Christians sitting in church on a Sunday morning and any other time that I've been here. And I think that's partly because if we're focused on winning people to the Lord, God sends us people. We had a couple who turned up, and they turned up because they saw the sign on the road. Him and his wife were in trouble, and he went home and he said, we've got to go to that church that I drove past. They came in and they sat on a Sunday morning, and as I preached, I just picked them up. Over that morning, especially her face just changed. People feel as though they can bring people more than ever before, and so we've tried to make our service just that there's no jargon, that it's simple, that it's an effective message, that it's a message that can be used in everyday life. The most important thing I can do as a pastor is for the people who sit in these seats, for them to know how to tell other people about Jesus. If I've got a church of every person sitting in their seats who is effective in telling others about Jesus, then that's the greatest thing we can do as leaders. There's nothing better than someone coming to the Lord, and so that's what we need to commit our lives to doing.